Good morning. Welcome. My name's Jim Cavill. I teach at Cal State University Dominguez Hills in the Los Angeles area, and I teach 3D sculpture and ceramics. It's a great pleasure to be able to introduce my friend Mike Flower, who I've known for over 15 years. He first walked into my classroom. He was in a master's in education program at the school, and he said, "Can I take a class with you?" Because he had a lot of prior knowledge and experience. And he said, "And I can help out in the studio a lot." And I said, "Yeah, I could use that." So he came in. He was great. He subsequently went to teach at Crescenta Valley High School, transforming that program there. And I was also fortunate to have him teach a couple of classes as an adjunct professor at the university for me. He's a true teacher's teacher, and he's the founder and co-administrator of the Facebook group Ceramics Teachers K through 12. He's been a professional educator for over 20 years. The program, like I mentioned, at Crescenta Valley is transformed through him, and he routinely has 200 students that go through about more than 6 tons of clay a year. I don't know how you high school teachers do what you do with the 200 students that you have, but it's mind-boggling. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Mike Flower.
You missed the part where it said, "Awesome dude." Thank you, Jim. Jim's been instrumental in my journey in clay. Taught me lots about running a studio, mixing glazes, firing kilns, loading kilns, unloading kilns, breaking student work. Oh no, that was me, not you. But thank you, thank you. Welcome everybody. I think what I'd like to do is start by taking attendance, because I'm a teacher. Who here is a K through 12 teacher? Show of hands. Okay, that's pretty good. K through 12 teacher that are in our Facebook group already? The Ceramics Teachers K through 12? Okay, great. Welcome. Nice to see you. I hope I get a chance to say hi outside. How about future K through 12 teachers? Great. Welcome. It's a great job. You will love it. Here's one that comes up from time to time. How about accidental ceramics teachers? You didn't go to school for it and you ended. Okay. Because we have a lot of those in our group, and I'll kind of touch base on that in a little bit. Lulu, are you here? Okay. Lulu is my first student to go get a BFA and an MFA, and she's floating around here somewhere, and it's one of those things. It's like, it's pretty cool. I've got this student that is now, she had a student in the K through 12 exhibition who won an award. So that's sort of like my grand student. So, and Jim's great grand student, which is pretty cool. I want to sort of, we'll be done with attendance and we'll get late slips from the people that come in late. In case you don't know what the hive mind is, what do we mean by hive mind is, it's online groupthink. And another way to sort of think of it is, it's pooling the collective knowledge of everybody that's in the group, because we have a wide variety of experiences, we have a wide variety of, well, depth of knowledge. Just about every experience that you could have in a ceramics classroom, somebody else in the group has had it. I don't know if that includes forgetting to turn a kiln off like I did a few years ago. The gas kiln, it was a bisque fire. It was fine, except because I have a high limit on the gas kiln, so it shuts the kiln off if it gets too hot. Well, it was a bisque fire, and it did go all the way to cone 11. And I don't know if that's happened to other people in the group, but we have a few of those. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what I did today. So we have a variety of collective resources or experiences, rather. So welcome again. We saw that there's a few people in the K through 12 group. How about Clay Buddies? Are there folks in the Clay Buddies group? Okay, great. That's another online Facebook resource that's available to people. And Today's not really a sales pitch. There's other groups that I'm involved in, high school ceramics teachers, and also AP3D is another good resource for those of us that are teaching their first year of AP3D, like I am this year. So for me, I think it's actually one of the redeeming qualities about social media. You know, for all the bad things about social media, this is a good one because there's countless times where you sort of go, oh, I need an answer to a problem. My goal today is to move kind of quickly. I don't want to burden you guys with photos of my dog or photos of my dog on vacation. I miss you, buddy. I'll be home tomorrow. So I'm going to try to power through, and just the idea is that I would like to give you a whole bunch of images of studios from across the country, and we have a couple of international images as well, so that if you don't get an answer that you're looking for today, you realize that the big idea for today is you can find your answers in the online group. So if you're looking for something, join a group and ask the question, and you can get it answered. But what I want to do today is just show you images of studios all over the place. I do want to start by just giving you a tiny bit of background on the group that I created with Lisa Florishak. We had been at NCECA. I went to NCECA in Phoenix with Jim, and then we went to NCECA in Philadelphia, met some folks there. And I had been in the high school classroom for 2 or 3 years. I'm like, I need more lessons, I need more lesson plans, I need more. And you know, you get some at NCECA, but I still needed more, the ability to network. So I said, Lisa, I'm starting a group on Facebook, join it with me. And I don't know, there might be some other like way back original members here from that group. There's another member, Gina Brownstein. She teaches in the same district as I do. So anyway, we had this group going, and it was fairly small for a while, and then Isabel joined the group, and she was right out of college, lots of energy, and she just started adding people all over the place, and our group went from like 40 or 50 to a couple hundred. And quickly I said, you know, Isabel, you need to be an administrator as well. So now our group has over 3,700 people in it. It's kind of crazy. So our content in our group, the conversations usually revolve around sort of 5 main categories. Education, instruction, curriculum, organizational things, technical things, inspirational and emotional things, things that are outliers. So most of the subject matter that I'll present to you today sort of falls into that category, any of those categories, generally in that order. But again, like I mentioned, this talk today is going to be more about ideas and the fact that if you can't get your idea or solution here today, join a group and hopefully you can find your answers online. So, organizational. You know, John Post is one of our members, and you know, I basically put it out to the group. I said, hey, I'm going to do this talk. Can you share images and ideas from your studios and experience? And the amount of times I've walked into a studio and thought, gosh, that's a good idea. Why have I not been doing that for the last 10 years? You know, there's just like these organizational things. You're like, yeah, of course, I get it. Technical things. You know, for the accidental ceramics teacher that didn't do a bunch of classes in college, they don't know how do you grind a kiln shelf and things like that, or what do you do when you grind a kiln shelf? So the benefit of our group is that collectively we have enough experience in the group. We've got some retirees that they know everything. It's great, you know, and they got a little time to answer the questions, so that's really good too. The other nice thing about the fact that we have so many members is we're getting diverse perspectives. You know, we're getting, you know, okay, I answer a lot of things, but there are a lot of feedback coming from a wide variety of collective experiences. So, instructional and curriculum. I love this one. I actually use this. My kids are doing a coil pot while I'm at NCECA, and I photocopied that, and I said, okay, and I did a demo last week, or actually the week before spring break. I'm like, okay, here are things that you can incorporate. And what I love about this is that we, pottery people, ceramics people, we're not like anybody else. We share freely. We don't like You know, we want to help each other. And, you know, if you're not feeling the love at NCECA, you should be, because, you know, that's what we do. We share freely in this ongoing exchange of ideas. I think a lot of our members come back and say, you know, it's really helpful. It's given me new energy for my experience in the classroom. Here's another one. Gina is one of our other administrators, and just about a month and a half ago, she was able to actualize something that her art department had been working on for a long time. They had an extra classroom at the school, and they said, hey, we want to use that as an art gallery. And they made it happen. And now it's a dedicated art gallery space at their school, which is cool. And so, you know, stories like that get shared in our group. And then, of course, we have, like, things that don't fall into any category whatsoever. A few months ago, I opened a tub of clay. And, like, we've all seen mold on clay. This one, it was perhaps the most engaged conversation that we've had. Okay, there was one about bongs a week ago that was pretty involved. But this one, we just had this great thread about this thing. And do you
know what it is?
I don't, but,
It's a chanterelle.
well, one of the members said, you know, I'm in all this fungus groups, and I shared the picture, and I sent this off to a lab to get tested, and we're waiting for results. So, and that all sort of came out of the conversation. Here's another outlier. I love this one. Julie, one of our members, was Marie Kondoing her classroom recently. And, you know, because we're hoarders, that's what we do. We're like, no, I could use that. And, you know, we put it in a box and we put it somewhere. How many of you know what that is? All right. The old RK Shimpo wheels, the little handle, the little rubber handle gaskets. Right, exactly. But I love that because I saw it. I'm like, oh, I know what that is. And then, of course, there's a bat pin in there because they're everywhere. So why do we attend NCECA? For me, I always came for professional development. I came to, you know, network and socialize a little bit and to get inspired. And again, you know, sort of looking for ideas or answers and saying hi to old friends or making new ones. This is like part of my troop over here. You made it. But we have been able to talk about all these things that we're doing in our classroom because we met here at NCECA. And then, of course, inspiration. You know, we're here to grow as educators. We're here to grow as artists. And then the universities, that's really helpful for us as high school teachers or those of us that are high school teachers, to be able to go and see some of the university programs. And then, of course, vendors, we spend more money than we need to on things that we don't always use. But it's another great thing about NCECA. I bought a really nifty tool yesterday. But I do think of our group and other groups like it as an extension of what we're doing here. You know, there is a lot of love at NCECA, and being able to, like, carry it forward into our group, I tend to sort of think about it like a teacher's lounge just for us. Because the truth is that if you're a ceramics teacher at a high school or in a district, a lot of times you're on an island. You're like the only one. And you can't walk into the staff lounge and be like, error code E1. Anyone, you know? They're like, no, but I can teach about Moby Dick, but I can't tell you what error code E1 is. And that's the thing about our group, is that usually somebody can. So one of the things that comes up a lot, play management. There's not a really good answer for this one because it varies. There are elementary school teachers that do 1 unit a year, and then you have full throttle high school teachers. Isabel's got over 200 kids in her classroom every day. Again, I don't know how you do it. I got about 175, but what was that, 42 per class? Wow, okay. So do you have a pug mill? Yes. Okay, you know, I spend like 50% of my job is recycling clay. This was really handy for me. I walked into one of my neighbor teachers' studios, and I saw these plastic tubs, and it was one of these things where I'm like, I should be doing that. So many kids have like dented work or a finger bump or whatnot. So I raided all the local Target stores in my general area, and I bought 150 of these tubs for $3.33 each. But they've lasted for years, and it's just been a great sort of storage and studio organizer. Color coding stuff. John, his studio was impeccable. He taught elementary, and so it was really important to kind of keep things together. I don't know if you can see it in this image, but there's nail polish on the table. And so color coding toolkits with nail polish, the kids have fun doing it, and then you know that the blue stick goes with the blue tub, and it's pretty helpful. And I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but there's a ketchup bottle with slip in it for every table as well. So I saw one online a couple months ago that was a sriracha bottle with clay, and it was called Slipracha. Not my joke, but I saw it online. This was another one, putting your extruder dies up on a wall. You've got outlines, circles on them, like just a helpful studio organizer. Of course, if you look carefully, there's a little hexagonal one that is missing. Then it drives me insane. I am going to put this entire slideshow on our ceramics K through 12 group. So if there's anything that you see and you're like, oh, I want to get that, and I click through it too fast, I'll put it on the group, or you can email me, and I'm happy to email you the PowerPoint if there's an idea that you didn't get. Little wall shoe racks are pretty helpful, And again, these ones, they're numbered, so there's pockets that are numbered and tools that are numbered, and just a good organizer. Kyle, he bought this at Lowe's, and what a great place to just keep all the tools. I do community tools in my studio, so some of the needle tools are in one of the tubs, and all the other tools seem to be fine, but it's the needles. God, man. I love this one too because pegboard. A little pegboard and it over the sink. If you do put pegboard up, then you need a little bit of space behind it. There's a little trick to sort of mounting pegboard, but boy, you can organize so many tools. And I really want to pinch and zoom in on this one because there's a lot of nifty things. There's a couple of wire tools hanging and levels and bats. Okay. I cannot tell you how many times a student walks into my class on a daily basis. Mr. Flower, did you fire anything? Mr. Flower, is there anything out of the kiln? Check the board. Check the board. Check the board. And I don't have this. This is Jim's class. You know Jim. Signs, it's basic, and I should be doing it, and I haven't. And especially a whiteboard sign that just says, check the board. So signage in the studio can really help. Signage for cleanup time, posted cleanup times, so that you're not, hey, everybody, it's 10 minutes to the bell, because we all have those days where we forget, and then it's 3 minutes, or the bell rings, you're like, oh, it's time to clean up. I love this one, too. Plates with sort of cleanup jobs assigned, and then you can rotate it from week to week. And what a clever idea, I don't have that in my studio, but I'm going to after this. Okay, upcoming art shows, posting the deadlines. I recently missed 2 deadlines for getting my student work in student shows because I missed the deadlines. And if you put it up somewhere and post it, then the kids know, and the kids say, hey, Mr. Flower, that deadline is coming up. Let's, And it's so helpful to get your kids. And if you're not participating in the National K-12 Art Exhibition, it's a great opportunity. They've got scholarships, and, it's a great part of NCECA. So if this is your first NCECA, you've got to check that out. And we have a few of the folks here that are pretty active in it, and I'm thinking about it. So, oh, I love this one. Deanne, you're here, right? Okay, I have a feeling that your studio is impeccable. She sent these pictures, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is... So, Glaze test tiles on magnets. So when you run out, you can just put that one away. Super helpful. Okay, for glaze management, what you can't see in this picture is the rack that it's on. The rack that it's on is a wooden shelf that was pilfered from a wood shop that is no longer being used. And we are really good at finding stuff and using it in our studio. So the concept of upcycling, here's another upcycled piece. A bread cart that was behind the cafeteria, not being used, now becomes clay storage. You can roll it out to and you don't have to tap into your limited budget to buy a cart. So there are things around the school if you really keep your eye out. I'm constantly rating I'm constantly rating my school for things that have casters on the bottom. And again, this one's from Jim. Jim teaches in Palos Verdes in California. And I had visited his studio, and if you can't see it in the photo, the Glaze tubs are on dollies with wheels. And what a great way to be able to wheel it out, use it when you need it, wheel it back, it's out of the way. And these are, 30-gallon trash buckets full of Glaze. So, and again, this is another one I'd love to pinch and zoom on. Another one of John posts, okay, so he built this, custom made it himself. He was teaching elementary students. So the table is shorter, so the elementary students can get into the bucket to do the glazing. It's on wheels. If you look, there's also a hot plate on the top. He would dry foot the foot of all the pots that are going in with wax, so that then the kids could glaze it, and he had that there. And then you can also see the sample tiles on the top. I need to fly through these tiles. Is that right? Is that a countdown or a count? That's a countdown. Wow. Okay. So I don't know if you can see in there, but it says check your lids. Some of you might know where this is going. At least once a year per class, some student grabs the underglaze and they shake it, and the lid's not on. And thank you, Jesse, for this photo. So signs for that. Photo setups, another common question, and that's the great thing about when you're in these groups. Some of your questions can actually just be answered with a photograph. And so here's one, and here's another one that's a larger. This is a photo cube that I bought online for maybe 80 bucks. The backdrop I bought for another 80 bucks. That's lasted for 10 years. I just got a new backdrop because the old one was kind of scratched. But it's a great portable setup to be able to document your students' work. And I have my AP students documenting their work in there. Another one from Deanne, thank you again. A bucket in your sink, holes drilled in the bucket. You can pre-wash stuff in there. The clay goes into the bucket instead of into the sink. And holes so it spills out. It's clever, and it's just one of those things like, oh yeah, of course. And then there's a trap as well, or this is like a hair trap or a kitchen sink thing. You can get these at the dollar store. So I have a pipe in my drain at school, so that also keeps the chunks out. Safety, there's lots of conversations that we've had in the group over the years about safety and, extruders, putting the bag over the handle so that nobody walks into it, because some studios, that extruder handle just always sticks right out in the middle of everything. This is pretty nifty, and this is also one of those things where we just have so many items, like balloons filled with sand that can be good slab holder downers or formers or shapers. Hanging power lines. So I had visited another studio with Gina, and we saw this, and Gina was able to take this back to her studio, show them the photo, and she had the guys in the district hang the power lines for her. And it's just one of these things that you get when you visit studios. I like this one too. The teacher she asked the principal to pay for motivators or rewards. And so when the kids had met a series of throwing challenges, they got custom aprons because they were clay masters but what a good motivator to get this and something to work up to. Pretty nifty. I like this one a lot. So this one came from Australia, and it was a student-created memorial to the end of World War I, which, the 100-year anniversary was just a year ago. So, another idea that just sort of came up in the group, student-created installation art. We've all had those days where something goes wrong, like the handle on the most expensive glaze in the studio breaks, and it spills all over the floor. But the group has also been a great place to have other teachers that get it. They know what we're going through. One of our members direct messaged me maybe 2 months ago and said, Mike, I'm getting a RIF notice. So a RIF notice is a reduction in force notice, and it's one of these things where we hate to tell you this, but you might not have a job next year. And so we had this good conversation offline, and I said, well, let me take it to the group and see what people have to say. And we were able to get thoughtful feedback about, you know, here are some things that you can do about that. And so having this group at times has been a really nice emotional crutch from time to time. So that's because, again, we get it. But that also leads me to talk about program promotion. There are great things that you can do in your studio to just keep the energy up. Inviting the principal in for a hands-on demo from the kids that know how to throw. That bought me so much good PR in the studio by having them get clay on their hands. Empty bowls. How many of you do empty bowls events? It's only win-win. You know, it's like good for the students, good for the community, good PR for the class. Contest days, partner throwing, blindfolded throwing. This one, I asked the science department if they had any goggles they weren't using. Got the goggles from the science department, had the kids decorate them with crazy eyes, and then we used them for a blindfolded wheel throwing contest, and we still use them every year, and it's a blast, you know, I mean, and it's funny. Oh, lunchtime events. Who's got their studio open at lunchtime? Okay. I have probably 15 to 30 kids in my room every day at lunch. And there's a lot to be said about that because some kids need a place to hang out at lunch. But by doing like throwdowns and competitions at lunch is pretty good as well. Raku, I'll just kind of blast through this because we're really getting close. I'm close to the end. But for me, Raku is a great way to get the kids fired up. Yeah, I'm a teacher, I'm sorry. It does. It gets the kids excited about, ooh, I can do that if I join advanced ceramics. And ultimately, why are we here? We come to NCECA, we join these groups because we want to be better teachers, right? We're professionals, and we're looking to be better teachers and to serve our students better. And it is all about the students. When I walk into Gina's studio, I am constantly reminded that she's better than me. Like, she's like, hey, what are you doing for your final? I'm like, well, we're going to do our critique, and we're going to do a written reflection. And she's like, oh, we're having a cereal party. I'm like, ah, man, you're so much more fun than me. But that's why we're here. We're here for the students, and that's what it's about. So just to kind of wrap things up, in our group, those of you that are active in the group, you can see that it's a really positive place. We go out of our way to keep it polite and positive. And I think it's one of the things that sets us aside from just like Facebook in general, because it can get ugly. It can get ugly fast. And so having group etiquette and being committed to being positive and polite, because really, we teach ceramics. I mean, I love my job, and it's just a polite and pleasant thing, and it's wonderful. So if you're thinking about joining the group, jump in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It's really good if you provide helpful information. What kind of temperature range are you firing at, or what's the size of your program? Are you teaching elementary students, or do you have 200 high school students coming through your studio every day? The group has a search feature, so sometimes there are conversations that have come up before, and you can even reshare your question, but sometimes you can inform your question by seeing what's been talked about it before. Our group is a public group, and I think that's another reason that keeps it polite, because people don't go on there and like bash their principals, because my principal friended me, so I'm never going to say anything bad about her on Facebook. So, you know, another reminder to keep things professional. Thank you. Here's me. This is, I'm at Flower Pottery on Instagram. I've got an Instagram for my school at CV Ceramics. My website is horribly out of date, so don't go there. Email is mike@flowerpottery, and then of course our Facebook group is Ceramics Teachers K through 12. If you're thinking about joining, please answer the questions, because we really do, we're looking for active, positive participants in the group that are going to participate. So when somebody tries to join the group and they don't answer the questions, we really hesitate, like, are they a bot or are they not a ceramics teacher? So thanks for coming.